let's bring in ESPN college football analyst Trevor Matich to weigh in on the carnage that is BYU football right now. Trevor, welcome back to the program. I wish we were talking about a win. We are not. BYU gets blown out at Liberty. They've lost 3 in a row. They're 4-4. Where would you like to start the conversation?
Well, I'd like to start the conversation with a prelude, if I may. This is not to make an excuse, but to say that it is a real thing that they've played a brutally physical schedule. And they have had to play games without their top 2 starting defensive ends. They've had to play games without 2 of their 3 best receivers. Their running back room has been banged up. Quarterback's been banged up. It's been a rough stretch. Having said that, the things that they do control, they have not controlled. And I am incredibly disappointed at all the things that go into that.
I think the biggest reaction from fans that I've heard that we've talked about is that they don't even recognize this team. There was a game played on Saturday. Liberty played somebody that had a Y on their helmet, but nobody knew who they were because of how they played.
It could have been the Rapture. Maybe only the BYU football team was taken. They were replaced by somebody else. It seems like that because, Dave, this team always, no matter the level of talent or injury, this team always must play to its greatest advantage. And that is the caliber of student that comes to BYU, the caliber of athlete that comes here. And that is one that is disciplined in their personal life, one that is coachable. And from an athlete standpoint, typically a locker room that's got more older players. And one thing that doesn't show up on tape is that they are playing with locker room leadership. It shows up on tape that it seems that they're looking at their own social media and they're really happy about that. And the Nick Saban of Alabama, head coach, talked about rat poison, about how he lamented the media saying good things about his players because his players consume that and then they don't have the right attitude in practice. They don't have the sense of urgency that brings the most out of their talent. And I'm not in that locker room, but I can tell you that watching this BYU team on tape on both sides of the ball, it looks more like a team that is consuming rat poison to the detriment of the urgency and focus and preparation than it looks like a team that is a little bit older, that has great individual and great athletic discipline. And I'm really disappointed.
Last year's team walked in with no expectations. Jaron Hall was the new guy that we had seen before, but now it's his squad, and they reeled off 10-3 and finished ranked and 6-1 versus Power Fives and beat Utah, and it was awesome. And we thought that team is basically coming back. So that's the disappointment to me, and where it starts, Trevor, is that this was a team that was very similar to last year. Now, no Tyler Algier perhaps is a bigger deal than we think. And we can talk offense in a sec, but let's talk defense. Giving up 41 to Liberty is weird. This is a team that, Gardner-Webb played Liberty better than BYU did. And they're not tackling, and they're not creating havoc, and they're not doing simple things. So where does that begin to get better, and does it?
Well, let's start with this, that on offense and defense, but defense now, there are 2 stages to a play. One is before you engage with an opponent, and the other is after you engage with the opponent. And you need to make sure that what you do before you engage with the opponent is perfect. The technique, the pad level, all those things are perfect. Because then when you engage, now the other guy has something to say because he's good too. And Mike Tyson famously said that everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? And so the problem with BYU's defense that I see more than anything else is what happens before they engage, and then what happens in terms of alignment assignment technique afterwards. If you get blocked out of position, well, you get blocked out of position, but you better be blocked out of position while you're doing the right things with the right pad level. And I think we can look at one play from the Liberty game and see a bunch of the problems that had rolled in. One was, it was that 80-yard touchdown in the third quarter, touchdown run off right tackle. So what people saw on TV was an inside linebacker come from the inside out and dove at the feet of the running back, and he missed the tackle. And they're saying, yeah, he should have run through the tackle, wrapped up, all that stuff. Yeah, well, okay, that's fair. But what happened to start that debacle on that 80-yard touchdown run was that the defensive end at the point of attack got driven back 6 yards, straight backwards, 6 yards. It started with the tight end because he was kind of over outside a little bit. And the defensive end stood up and allowed the tight end to get leverage on him. That's what I'm talking about, pad level before contact. You need to have your pad level below theirs. You need to have leverage before contact. He just stood up and looked around, and the tight end pushed him back 2 yards. Then, without double teaming with the tackle, the tight end went off to block somebody else. And the tackle came in with the D lineman of BYU 2 yards downfield, still standing up, still looking around, and the tackle pushed him back another 4. When you have your D end at the point of attack driven straight back 6 yards, it's hard to blame anybody else. But there's more blame to go around. One of them is the outside linebacker on that side had a blocker come up on him, and it's at second level. And instead of attacking that blocker, he turned his back to the blocker. He turned to his right to the inside and then ran backwards a little bit to avoid the block and try to come back and make a tackle on the outside. Well, a couple of problems with that. One is that the deep safety, single deep safety, was trying to come up at an angle to cut off the breakout. And he ran into the outside linebacker, who turned his back to the blocker and, without being touched by the blocker, I don't think, ran backwards into the angle that the safety was trying to take. So they blocked each other. That was just beautiful. That was just lovely. And it was a breakout for an 80-yard touchdown, right? These are things that are not because you're injured or because you are not good enough. It's because you didn't focus and do the right things the right way before contact. And this is something that they really need to figure out.
A red flag for sure was Kalani Sitake took over the defensive play calling, and there was an expected, rally to the cause and come out with everything you just talked about, a better focus, more energy. And they played worse than the week before or the week before that. So where does Kalani go on this Monday to try and rally them for Friday night?
Well, he said a couple of things that he normally doesn't say in the post-game press conference. He said that from now on, we're going to see who wants to be a part of this fight. He said that this program is going to get tough now. It's going to be tough. Well, okay, it wasn't before, and if it wasn't, whose fault was it? And every game's he said every game's going to be the Super Bowl. Every game should be the Super Bowl. You should prepare for every game as if it's the Super Bowl. Why is the head coach happy to say they're going to now start doing that? That's disappointing. And that, to me, goes in large measure to the players in the locker room. Leadership should not be top down. Leadership should not have to come from the coaching staff to the players on a mature team like this. Now, it needs to do that. But this disappoints me about the locker room leadership tremendously, that he had to even say that. And when it comes to how to teach, this is one thing that the assistant coaches really need to look in the mirror now, because their players don't play like they are heavily coached in technique. They play like they're coached in scheme, but not in technique. Now, maybe they are, but they're not getting it onto the field in a way that they could be convicted in a court of law for playing with great technique before everything breaks down as they engage with the opponent and the play goes on. And I think that's one. Now, I don't know the answer to this because I'm not on the practice field, but I think the assistant coaches need to look themselves in the mirror and ask if they're doing enough to focus on the fundamentals of football to get these guys to maximize their potential. And that's one thing that Coach Sitake also said, that I haven't heard him say that much. He talked about the lack of fundamentals. Wait, what? On a team that's a little bit older, with guys that have personal discipline in their personal lives, and they're not focused enough on fundamentals? That is how they're playing. And so the tape doesn't lie, and that's what the tape says. So what does Coach Sitake need to do? He needs to get everybody, including the assistants, refocused on that. Because unless they play with good fundamentals, their talent is not going to matter. Now, having said all that, let me say this. I think Kalani Sitake is the coach for this team for the next 20 years if he wants to stay. I think he is the right man for the spot. But now he has to wrangle a herd of cats that are not focused on the right things.
When you go 21-4 the past 2 seasons, the standard is high, and certainly it is here, as BYU has equaled that total amount so far through 8 games. We're talking to ESPN's Trevor Matich. Trevor, the offense, I think, isn't without blame, too. The lack of a run game's been an issue to keep BYU on the field, keep the chains moving, score a little easier. BYU's been dependent on an injured Jaron Hall at this point. Have we realized that Tyler Algier was the real MVP from last year?
Well, he probably was the real MVP from last year. And in fairness, again, this running back room has been banged up. They've been having a lot of runs, a high percentage of runs go to wide receivers, where they'd really rather just pound it downhill with the running backs. But this is where the offensive line needs to take over. This offensive line is one of the most talented that they've ever had. They're big, they're experienced, and they don't play like it. And I'm disappointed about that too. What you want to see from an offensive line to start with is dog. You want to see them play like they're junkyard dogs, where they fire into opponents and they make the opponent fear every single run. So that in the fourth quarter, those defenders are beaten down and the offensive line is now smashing them. Watch Michigan's offensive line. They don't always drive you way down the field, but they will hit you hard and drive you whatever direction you're going way farther than you want to go. What you see from this offensive line on inside runs is style and technique as if the inside run were an outside run. On an outside run, you step to the side and you kind of mirror and you push guys the way they want to go. On an inside run, you need to take a step to the side, a zone step, and then you need to blast into the defender. And early in games, if the defender's good, you won't see a lot of effect. But later in the game, you'll see those guys wear down. What you see from the offensive line is inside runs look like outside runs. I don't see them driving into guys. I don't see them firing off the ball. They just kind of step off the ball on inside runs. That's disappointing to me, because if these guys played with more dog, then they could overcome the injuries to quarterback, receiver, running back in much more effective fashion than they have so far. Now, I'm not calling into question their character. I don't know what they're being told to do. I don't know what they're being coached to do on those inside runs. But when I see guys that talented take a zone step and then fit up with a defender and then try to push him, that's inadequate, especially in this situation. They need to take a zone step, fire into the defender, and make that defender rue the day they ever took that football field against them. They're talented enough to do it. I don't know why it's not being done the way it needs to be done, but everybody needs to take a look in the mirror, because this team could be so much better if this offensive line took it over.
We'll see if they do that Friday against ECU. Trevor, we appreciate the time. Some candid comments as always. Best of luck this week on your coverage on ESPN.
The tape don't lie. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.